Please rise if you are able for the graduand procession. Please remain standing until the graduands have been seated.
Please take your seats. The program will begin momentarily.
Please rise if you are able for the academic procession.
In the toil of thinking, in the serenity of books, in the messages of prophets, the songs of poets, and the wisdom of interpreters, in discoveries of continents of truth whose margins we may see, we delight in free minds and in their thinking. In the majesty of the moral order, in the faith that right will triumph, in the courage given us when we ally ourselves to truth in any form, in the privilege of being co-workers in good causes, we celebrate the unseen goals we share and serve. Let us build a world safe from war and oppression, free and satisfying, and one that ultimately furnishes answers for us all. Please be seated.
Graduands, friends and family, good afternoon and welcome. I'm Cynthia Holmes, the Dean of the Ted Rogers School of Management. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the land that we're celebrating on today. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Class of 2023, it is so wonderful to be able to celebrate your academic achievements today in person. I am so proud to be here to congratulate our new graduates and to share in this special celebration with your family and friends. As students, you've demonstrated your ability to pivot to virtual learning during the pandemic, adapt to the changing environment, and be resilient during a very challenging time. You have also demonstrated your leadership and your desire to push beyond conventional business education, take innovative and creative risks, and work collaboratively to contribute to our community. I encourage you to continue this approach as alumni and use the tools that you have acquired here to promote business initiatives that have local, national, and global relevance, change society for the better. And although your time as an undergraduate student is ending, you remain a valuable member of our family. And like all strong families, our school embraces its deep and lasting connections to alumni. And speaking of families, I want to thank all of your families and your friends for supporting you through your Ted Rogers School experience. I'm so glad that you can all be with us here today. Graduates, I sincerely hope that you will stay connected by joining your alumni association and that our paths will cross again in the workplace, at Toronto Metropolitan University events, or in the classroom as lifelong learners and graduate students. Take advantage of the many benefits and services you have access to as alumni, including support from our Business Career Hub for Life. So when you are out doing good work, your new colleagues will turn to you one day and say, "That's so impressive. Where did you learn that?" I want you to confidently tell them, "I'm from the Ted Rogers School of Management." To begin this very special day, I am pleased to introduce you to the Chancellor of Toronto Metropolitan University, Janice Fukakusa.
Graduands, I am proud and honored to speak to you. Today is the time of very well-deserved celebration. We share our pride in your success with everyone whose love and support has played a part in bringing you here today. You have all been through a remarkable experience. You endured and navigated a pandemic and came through it achieving your ultimate objective. You succeeded by facing and overcoming unforeseen barriers. Adversity makes us stronger and wiser. Be proud of what you achieved and never stop learning. Embrace a lifetime of personal growth. The best way to achieve that is to cultivate your curiosity. because embracing opportunities and new challenges will expand your horizons and take you to places you would have never imagined. And as you navigate your career path, remember, your work is going to fill a large part of your life. The only way to make that time truly satisfying is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, because I'm sure that you'll know it when you find it. And finally, whatever the next step of your journey takes you, I ask you to give back to the community, to your workplace, and to your family and friends. Be a champion for causes that make lives better. For me, those causes have been supporting the fight to cure cancer and advocating for accessible education to all. Whatever your cause, weave it into your life as a personal passion. On this special day of celebration, let me close by offering my congratulations and best wishes on your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Fukakusa. Now, please welcome the university's President and Vice Chancellor, Mohammed Lashmi.
Thank you, Dean Holmes. Welcome to our graduates, family and friends, colleagues from across the university, community, and beyond, to the class of 2023. This is an important day for you, and you have our warmest congratulations. You are all graduating at a milestone moment in history. Despite the challenges brought on by the pandemic, you remained committed to your studies, kept connected to your classes, and served your community in more ways than I can mention here. Milestone also because your academic journey will be forever linked to the historic name change. In fact, you are the first class to receive your degrees with the new name, Toronto Metropolitan University. You are the next generation of change makers. Why? Because this is what the world is looking for. You have everything to offer, and when you return here also to this place, you will be always right home. Change is a continuing theme of our university, and in 2023, it holds a special meaning. We are celebrating a remarkable triple anniversary this year, 75 years as an institution, 30 years as a university, and 1 year with our new name, Toronto Metropolitan University. Together, they represent an evolution that is almost unheard of in the academic world. Reflecting on these milestones, I can safely say the reason for our success is in this room, you. As we move forward together, I encourage you to embrace the same steadfast drive and determination that defined us at TMU. Both you and the university look ahead to a new chapter and a bright future. Future of promise and optimism, better prepared than ever to meet the challenges and opportunities ahead. To our graduates, this is your time. You have, as I mentioned, what the world is looking for: talent, energy, and new ideas. Your years here have prepared you for this moment. We're so very glad that you selected this university, that you immerse yourself in our university community. I hope you are feeling grateful for each other. You have shared a university experience that forges lasting friendships, which brings us full circle. While we may find success as individuals, as a society, we need each other. We need loved ones, and you have many of them celebrating with you today. We need colleagues and community. In French, you know, we never say goodbye. Instead, we say au revoir, which literally means until we see you again. Enjoy your very special day and stay close to your alma mater, for together we will shape the future. Thank you, and I invite you now to please enjoy a short video. Thank you.
As Canada's most urban university, we represent all that it is to be Metropolitan. This word has defined our identity for 75 years, as we've brought some of the brightest and most creative minds together in downtown Toronto. From day one, our mission has been unique: to serve societal needs and prepare students for impactful careers. First as an institute of technology, and then as a rapidly growing university. Through it all, we've been shaped by Metropolitan life, from the density of our landscape to the creativity that pulses through our city, to the diversity of our community. And now, we proudly embrace it as our name. We've grown along the way, but that's only fueled our aspirations to improve lives on our campus, in our city, across the country, and around the world. Join us in celebrating 75 years as an institution, 30 years as a university, and 1 proud year with our new name. We are Toronto Metropolitan University, and we are honored to have you as our graduating class.
Chancellor Fukakusa, President Lashmi, Provost Yanocito Provenzano, deans, esteemed colleagues and representatives who join us on stage, graduates, family members and friends, honored guests. It is my great privilege to deliver the citation for Dr. Chris McDonald, who has been invited to give today's convocation address. Dr. McDonald is the chair of the Law and Business Department and associate professor at the Ted Rogers School of Management, where he teaches ethics in commerce and business decision-making. He was the first philosopher ethicist hired by the department and helped pave the way for building a department that now employs 4 philosophers, teaching ethics and critical thinking, incorporating a strong ethics skill set into our curriculum. It is a unique feature of the Ted Rogers School and has played a significant role in developing this important curricular aspect. As a scholar academic, Dr. McDonald is the creator and co-editor of the Business Ethics Journal Review. His commitment to education includes the development of programs for students, including an ethical reasoning module that is now taught to all business students. Dr. McDonald's expertise in the field of ethics has earned him recognition as one of the 100 most influential people in business ethics for 4 consecutive years by Ethisphere magazine. And as one of the top 100 thought leaders in trustworthy business behavior by Trust Across America in 2011 and 2012. I would now like to call to the lectern Dr. Chris McDonald.
See. Chancellor Fukakusa, President Lashmi, Provost Yanocito Provenzano, deans, esteemed colleagues, representatives who join us on the stage, members of the graduating class, families, friends, honored guests, it's my pleasure to be with you today. Hello, Kimara Hashiv, Falcha Ahuladunya, Hamigle Toilisht Avi Ansho Andu. That's Scottish Gaelic for hi, how are you? Welcome everyone, I'm very happy to be here today. Scottish Gaelic is the language of my ancestors, the Gaels of northern Scotland. Over the last year and a half, I've been learning my endangered ancestral language. Learning Scottish Gaelic has led me to some strange places, emotionally and intellectually, and I'm going to share a bit of that with you. But my main points won't really be about language. Graduands, you are here today because you've successfully completed a tremendously important journey. But journeys take many forms. The story I'm going to tell you is necessarily a story about me, but I don't tell it to you just because it's my story, but rather because I've learned so much by living it, and I think you might find it interesting, maybe even instructive. As of this morning, I'm on a 581-day streak of practicing Scottish Gaelic through the Duolingo app on my phone. That means that every single day for roughly 19 months, I've completed at least one lesson in the vocabulary and grammar of Scottish Gaelic. Now, Scottish Gaelic is an endangered language spoken by only around 60,000 people in the world, mostly in northern and western Scotland, the Highlands and Islands. In my own family, it was last spoken by my great-grandfather. Neither my father nor his father spoke a word of it. It is, in my immediate family, a dead language. At least it was until I started learning it in 2021. In Scotland, I have distant cousins who speak it fluently. It's their first language, spoken in tiny villages and fishing outposts on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland's Outer Hebrides Islands. But everyone there also speaks English as well. So there's literally nowhere on earth that you need to speak Scottish Gaelic in order to be understood. I've only been to Scotland once and got by just fine without speaking a word of it. So why learn this language, you might ask? Good question. Studying Scottish Gaelic over the last 19 months has done three things for me. I suspect that learning a new language might do these things for you too, though I recognize that many of you graduating today already speak more than one language. So here are the three things I've gained from learning an endangered language. First, and probably the most obvious, learning a new language has done things to the wiring of my brain. Learning a new language creates new neural connections. Learning a second or additional language builds brain matter and, for folks like me, over 50, helps protect against dementia and other degenerative neurological conditions. Now, like many of you, I learned a bit of French in high school. I'm embarrassingly far from fluent, in spite of more than a decade studying French in school. But I have enough French that I have enough French that I can understand those bits of an action movie where the French bad guy says a few sentences in French, and I usually don't need the subtitles. But something weird started happening when I started studying Gaelic. I could feel whole new parts of my brain clicking when I heard or read French, and sometimes even English. I'm sure there's a scientific explanation, but I can tell you that from a first-hand point of view, it is really interesting, and it's a weird feeling. It makes my brain feel alive. Second, learning Gaelic has connected me with my ancestry. I knew growing up that I'm Scottish-Canadian, or simply Scottish, in the same shorthand way that people born in Canada but to parents of Persian or Pakistani descent might say, I'm Persian, or I'm Pakistani, even if they've never been to Iran or Pakistan. I was told growing up that I was Scottish, even though my family left Scotland in 1854, and even though my father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather had never set foot in Scotland. It's a weird phenomenon. But in 2019, I visited Scotland for the first time, and I connected with that place in a way that was truly striking. I left tears on the soil there. I had dinner with my 7th cousin, Maureen, and I had tea with her elderly parents. I'm not superstitious, but I felt the ghosts of my ancestors there. Learning Gaelic has made me feel more connected to those roots. It has given me a story about where I come from, not just a story passed down from my grandfather about being in some vague way Scottish, but my own story about having been there and having some knowledge of the language, an ability to read the stories, my stories. Some of you may know the Métis writer, Cherry Dimeline, from the Georgian Bay Métis Nation. She wrote a wonderful book called The Marrow Thieves. I encourage you to read it, and so I don't want to spoil the story, but at one level it's a story about a resilient group of Indigenous people of all ages who band together to survive in what is effectively a post-apocalyptic hell. It's a story of survival and of love and of building family out of the people that are around you. I read it a few years ago, and there was a line that really stuck with me, though I didn't know why at the time. The line from the book is this: everyone, and the author is talking here about the little band of survivors that are the focus of the book, everyone tells their own coming to story. That's the rule. Everyone's creation story is their own. Visiting Scotland and learning the dying language of my ancestors has allowed me to begin to tell my own coming to story. It has let me tell a creation story that is my own. I'm still writing it. Being a white Canadian of settler stock is about as generic and boring as can be. At least that's the way it always felt to me. I'm painfully aware of this as someone who teaches a beautifully diverse group of students. But understanding my roots has let me tell, to myself at least, a more interesting story. Finally, and this is the part that may surprise you the most, learning Scottish Gaelic and connecting with my roots in the most isolated parts of Scotland has allowed me, as a white settler Canadian, to appreciate more deeply the struggles of my Indigenous neighbors and colleagues and students. I recognize very clearly that I've lived a life of privilege. Even a blue-collar to middle-class upbringing in Canada counts as a life of privilege when you're a straight, white, able-bodied male. I've had all kinds of advantages, and when you've had advantages, it can be hard even to relate to the struggles that other people have faced. Sometimes a story of oppression, even quite remote from your own direct experience, can help. Historically, the Gaels of northern Scotland were, in fact, a hated and oppressed people. My ancestors were called, and this is documented in the parliamentary records of England, we were called savages. We were regarded as an inferior race, incapable of being civilized. Our traditions, our music, and our way of dress was outlawed. And while there were no residential schools for the children of the Gaels of northern Scotland, they were forced by the colonial powers of the day to attend English schools. And that, in part, is why Scottish Gaelic is a dying language today. And ultimately, many of the Gaels of the Highlands were forced off their lands through a combination of economic oppression and military action. And many of them ended up, in the 1800s in particular, coming to Canada. That's why I'm here today. Now, it's incredibly important for you to understand that I am not saying, hey, colonialism is everywhere and we've all suffered. That would be incredibly disrespectful. Nothing that happened in Scotland compares to the 60s scoop and the intergenerational trauma caused by the residential school system. But at a personal level, I can tell you that while I already knew some of the history of the oppression faced by Indigenous people in this part of the world, it never quite hit home until I realized that I was now learning a language that was endangered because of a version of some of the same colonial attitudes and behaviors. I suspect many people today, here in this room, wonder why anyone is trying to save languages such as those in the Ojibwe or Anishinaabe language family. But over the last 19 months, I've gained just a little insight into that. I'm learning the language that my great-grandfather spoke when my grandfather was a baby. I'm learning the language of the poets of the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, the language they used to express their love for their land and for their way of life and for each other. That's a lot for a language that I started learning as a COVID lockdown hobby. Okay, so that's my story. What lesson do I want to leave you with? No, not learn a language that's good for your brain. And no, not learn a language, it will advance your career, though those are both probably true. My lessons are more general. Whatever you do going forward, please do the following. Do something that is good for your brain every day. Study a language, read a book, listen to a podcast, learn to paint, build new neural connections. Second, connect to traditions that matter to you. Create your own coming to story, your own creation story. Having a place to stand matters. Finally, find ways to connect to other people's stories. Stories connect us. Listening to each other's stories and finding ways into them is, I think, part of the path to mutual understanding and community. That's it. As you go forward into the next adventure, use your brain, write your own story, and do your best to connect to other people's stories as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for your inspiring words, Dr. McDonald. As our graduates prepare to come forward, I will take this opportunity to request that you hold your applause until all the graduates have crossed the stage. We do, however, welcome spontaneous outbursts of joy, enthusiasm, and even relief from family and friends. That's all part of your celebration. And so all graduates are celebrated equally. We ask that everyone please remain for the duration of the ceremony. I now ask to come forward and thank in advance the University Registrar, Robin Parr.
Thank you, Dean. Will the graduates please rise if you're able? Chancellor Fukakusa, President Lashmi, Provost Iannacito Provenzano, honored guests, faculty member, staff, family and friends of the graduands. I have the honor and pleasure to present graduands from Toronto Metropolitan University's Ted Rogers School of Management degree programs. Our graduands, including all of those celebrating with us today, as well as those unable to attend who are graduating in absentia. I certify that each has met the academic requirements for the awards that they are about to receive and that each has been duly approved by Toronto Metropolitan University's Senate. Congratulations to each of you. You can be seated.
Madam Chancellor, I have the honor to present candidates for the undergraduate degrees in the Ted Rogers School of Management. Bachelor of Commerce Honors in Business Management, Law and Business. Osman Akhtar with distinction. Tala Al-Anani. Ilham Alizadeh. Simon Al-Salloum. Gina Arulapu. Natalie Balilti. Aiden Beck. Jake Becker. Christopher Beasley, with distinction, who is being congratulated on stage by their spouse, Angela Beasley, from the Faculty of Engineering and Architectural Science, Dean's Office. Bekim Beshi with distinction. Kainat Bagaria. Zineb Bukarua with distinction. Dean Brown. Max Carey. Mahek Chowdhury with distinction. Justin Chu. William Dallaire with distinction. Charlene Dela Cruz. Parmveer Dami. Giuliano Di Francesco. Rejan Dubé with distinction. Julia Fiocco. Julia Fick. Naomi Gabriel. James Gallo. Jordan Gerlach with distinction. Nicole Gubrial. Dina Goheri. Roman Gold. Rachel Harry Persaud. Robin Ingram. Manreet Jawanda. Alexander Josefsky. Vaishnavi Kamalakaran with distinction. Arjun Kapil with distinction. Imad Karanip. Punarpreet Kaur Sidhu. Seyun Kim. Kirusha Kiridaran. Raymond Koroblev. Adam Larsina with distinction. Samantha Love. Maria Luciani. Naya Martin Hemming. Andriy Mazniku. Alejandro Mena with distinction. Gabriel Mitskevichus. Mitchell Miller with distinction. Andrea Musad with distinction. Ilya Mrachkovsky. Ali Mukhtar. David Monroe. Muhammad Hamza Naeem. Christine Nam. Egosa Ohuoba. Monica Oliva, Guadalupe Otero with distinction, Anjali Pandey, Gunilla Pinson, Adam Pitula, Sheetal Raghunath, Samreen Rahman, Amanda Ram with distinction, Max Rhodes, Jeremy Richards with distinction, Jason Samra, Manveer Sangha, Manpreet Sarai, Alia Serapilia, Marine Shahai, Lori Shahinian, Alina Sharipova with distinction, Kalia Simon, Harshpreet Singh, Pranavika Sinarasa, Laksha Sivatasan, Christian Soares, Justin Stonkus with distinction, Michaela Stuyvesant, Nitika Thakur, Daniel Torch with distinction, Maria Torlakovic with distinction, Aideen Vasegi with distinction, Emily Walker with distinction, Cody Young, Jordan Yordanov, Omari Young with distinction, Cheyenne Young with distinction, Araz Zargarian, Bachelor of Commerce, Honors in Business Management, Law and Business Cooperative Program, Afshan Ahmed, Diana Alexiev, Simona Alfano with distinction, Rajiv Bahadur, Joseph Calvo, Nicola Caravaggio, Celine Damji, Priyanka Datta with distinction, Sabiha Jogiat with distinction. Shania Kalia with distinction. Hetasvi Kansara. Mati Kapojanis with distinction. Jaspreet Khalsa with distinction. Amanda Khan. Sergey Lukyanovich. Alessia Urik with distinction. Sakana Parthipan. David Schultz. Tara Shiri Babadi. Riley Wu. Mahan Ziaul Haq with distinction. Bachelor of Commerce Honors in Business Management, Marketing Management. Tarlan Adibi. Aisha Afzal with distinction. Noma Ukhtor. Ayana Alam. Muhammad Ali with distinction. Ghaida Al-Khatib with distinction. Madeline Alvaranga Diaz. Adia Anda Gulova. Siraj Singh Aneja. Antonio Anile. Jessica Arantes. Abigail Argueta. Praveen Arjun. Nusha Armani. Aisha Arshad. Wanya Azam. Mateo Baba. Ayush Bell. Dhruvi Bafsar. Humpreet Bular with distinction. Navjot Bular. Isha Bhutani. Sergio Burigana with distinction. Marcos Buchko. Joshua Buxton. Ariana Cachotti. Christian Kanata. Riley Carson with distinction. Amrit Chahal. Jamal Chowdhury with distinction. Jessica Chen. Ausaf Chowdhury. Andrew Clark. Igor Costa. Cameron Da Costa. Lingyu Dai. Anindita Deb. Desiree Diaz. Cole Dresdoff. Joanne Marie D'Souza with distinction. Brian Du with distinction. Adrian Jeferovsky. Jonathan Epen. Danique Edwards. Anya Ettinger with distinction. Aaron Farka. Olivia Fazari. Michelle Fernandez with distinction. Hallie Monica Gamboa with distinction. Arushi Gandhi. Francesco Gordano with distinction. Mirel Gike with distinction. Nathan Go. Michael Goldstein. Brandon Goldstein. Navjot Gosal. Ryan Grewal. Vanessa Guerrero. Kareem Gurgis. David Hall. Nicholas Hamilton with distinction. Vanessa Hardwar with distinction. Ifaj Hassan. Maya Hattori Phillips. Anastasia Ho. Douglas Holtforster. Nikita Hirtsevich with distinction. Kieran Huang O'Donnell. Mark Insanali. Amna Iqbal. Janushek Jayakumaran. Arti Jha. Kevin Jin. Brian Young. Zina Kafuzi. Kausalya Kanaga Sundaram, Nisha Kandeya, Alima Karatu with distinction, Ashkan Karimnia, Gerline Kaur, Robert Kelbel, Jenna Kfuzi, Marcus Khan, Muhammad Burhan Khan, Muhammad Imran Khan, Naomi Kedana with distinction, Laura Kim, Minji Kim with distinction, Paveen Kumaraval, Gneshani Kurukula Surya, Zerlina Lack with distinction, Andrew Lala, Crystal Lamb, Michael Lamb, Ashley Lontang, Brandon Lee, Yatian Lee, Yongshi Lee, Johnson Lin with distinction, Michael Lenardi with distinction, Mayan Lum with distinction, Jason Luo, Daniel Lysenko, Danielle Mackenzie with distinction, Vanessa Magro, Camila Manzano, Christina Marchesi with distinction, Alessio Martinezzi, Emily Matusik with distinction, Gabriel Matthews, Roxana Mazinani, Chrisanne McReef, David Marai, Gabriel Milani with distinction, Jacob Mirsky, Solomon Muhammad, Farhan Mullah, Jackson Mullington with distinction, Marcel Nadai, with distinction. Fanny Mo. Judy No. Lisa Nguyen. Shahilan Nurmayan. Catherine No. Arad Noruzi with distinction. Daniel Obaji. Yakub Ogun Molade. Princess Osei. Justin Page. Nithusen Pathmakanthan. Jennifer Ponte. Shashank Prabhu with distinction. Philip Purkar. Ryan Putra. Saranki Rajakumar. Saran Rajeswaran with distinction. Gana Dinesh Ramchandani. Vitusen Ravinthiran. Mayra Alejandra Rivera. Mark Risotto. Jordan Roger with distinction. Ria Rosario with distinction. Julia Russo. Neda Sadeghi. Ryan Sai with distinction. Sujithan Sakdivel. Jasmine Sandhu with distinction. Sonia Sandhu. Sirat Sarai. Mario Sardo. Taylor Sater. Robert Savitsky. Ritika Shah. Sayyid Shah. Shahzeen Shahid. Zaina Akram Shahrur. Yunus Shamsi. Jesse Shearer. Clady Shehi with distinction. Frank Shepard. Cameron Shim, Alan Schlaku, Jasmine Shrestha, Muhammad Siddiqui with distinction, Kudrat Singh, Ragashan Sundarajan, Jennifer Straker, Davneet Swaich, Nikhil Taylor, Tamir Taraftar, Bita Tarahomi, Amy Tay, Matthew Tran, Sabrina Tu with distinction, Jackie Tuyen, Praveen Umakanth, Yash Varma with distinction, Stephanie Vecchiarelli, Dishant Verma, Kobishan Vijayakumar, Stavros Vlahosotiros with distinction, Danik Vrins, Ming Vu with distinction, Jalisa Walker, Melinda Welgan, Joyce Wong, Tika Wong, Cameron Wright with distinction, Jeremy Wu, Grace Shu, Mengshi Ye with distinction, Emma Young with distinction, Steve Young, Artin Zaboli with distinction, Muhammad Ali Zarebani, Bokai Zhang, Yue Zheng, Panajota Zagrofaki Skurli, Bachelor of Commerce Honors in Business Management, Marketing Management Cooperative Program, Yusuf Ahmed, Walter Alfred with distinction, Adina Ali with distinction, Peter Andreakos, Rida Assad, Daniela Bandiera, with distinction. Muhammad Basit, with distinction. Sathurjan Baskaran. Simran Bambra. Elaine Bolen. Sharon Brandt. Matthew Castelli, with distinction. Reima Chakraborty. Melissa Chang. Rihanna Changur. Harcharn Chima. Xiaoyu Chen, with distinction. Dia Chopra, with distinction. Emily Crane. Catherine Kwan. Alessia D'Alessandro. Helen Dang. Ali Khan Danji, with distinction. Randy Dukram, with distinction. Alison Doyle, with distinction. Astrid Fonseca de Dios, with distinction. Thomas Gazelle Jr. Justin Gideon. Adam Grieco. Mariam Hammam, with distinction. Bradley Ho. Nicole Ho, with distinction. Stephanie Ho, with distinction. Jasmine Ho Shui, with distinction. Darius Harachinik, with distinction. Nathania Hu, with distinction. Vivian Hu. Anisa Ismail. Yasa Kalimi. Christopher Kanampura, with distinction. Ariba Khan. Talha Kokar, with distinction. Gayathiri Krishna Ratnam, with distinction. Rebecca La. David Lamb. Sabrina Lazara. Huang Mei Conley, with distinction. Olive Lee, with distinction. Chanan Leong, with distinction. Ontong Esther Lung, with distinction. Jiagang Lin. Baron Liu, with distinction. Marcus Liu. Megan Mahoney, with distinction. Gurpreet Man, with distinction. Ashley Mano, with distinction. Brendan McMahon, with distinction. Dalina Mangistu. Gianluca Michelli, with distinction. Francisco Nguyen. Lin Nguyen, with distinction. Brandon Nong. Konstantin Orlovsky. Ethan Poirier, with distinction. Navetha Rajeswaran. Hajra Ramzan. Nikki Raseki, with distinction. Adriana Reynoso Santillan. Jivan Sahota. Caitlin Salvador. Kushreet Sandhu. Anisa Sayani, with distinction. Fatima Sheikh, with distinction. Harris Sheikh. Roe Steinberg. Christiane Ira Sidlakan, with distinction. Alexandra Sigil, with distinction. Andrea Silva, with distinction. Madeline Steele Santana. Aliyah Sultani. Su Sung. Bilkisa Tayyib. Shamilan Tambiraja, with distinction. Ethan Thomas. Jake Timmel, with distinction. Sander Timble. Helen To, with distinction. Zoe Tran, with distinction. Hong Chui Tsang, with distinction. Jivko Uzov. Angelo Valerio. Mariam Vargas, with distinction. Shaolin Wang. Jeffrey Yan. Sophia Yasseri. Sayeda Zaidi. David Zhu, with distinction. Queenie Zhu, with distinction. Madam Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of today's graduates.
Hello, TMU grads. I'm Jen McMillan, Vice Provost students, and I'm so happy to share this special moment with you. Every one of you set a major goal for yourself. And today, after years of hard work and sacrifice, we honor all that you've accomplished. Your degree is a celebration of the courage it took to get you here, of the hard work and dedication you've demonstrated inside and outside of the classroom, of the breakthroughs that have helped mold you into the person you've become, and of the community you've found along the way. Your degree represents more than just the assignments you've completed and the exams that you've written. The student groups, the passion projects, the events and the games, they all represent the many ways you help build this community that will live on well past graduation. Whether your families, friends, and supporters are near or far today, I know they are celebrating this achievement with you. You've completed something significant, and great opportunities await you. As you enter this next phase of your lives, I challenge you to keep growing and using your unique voices to change the world. Never be afraid to be courageous, to be loud, and to be bold. Finally, thank you for choosing us. We're so proud that you'll forever be a part of the TMU community.
Today is about celebrating how far you've come.
And we'd like to take this opportunity to talk about how far you're going to go.
You have become a part of something bigger.
Graduating from TMU is a major milestone.
I still remember exactly how I felt when I was in your seat on this very day. I definitely had a mixture of emotions.
I was just really very proud.
At Convocation, I felt very prepared for my career, but very excited, but also a little sad.
Quite optimistic.
Nostalgic.
I felt excited and I felt prepared.
Walking across that stage at Convocation meant that I fulfilled personal goals, but I also fulfilled the goals of the family, and that was really important.
As much as it was the end of the chapter, it was actually the start of something great.
And I had so many questions, like, how am I going to make my big dreams come true?
Do I have it all figured out?
How am I going to come back?
So it was party time, but also you got some work to do down the road. Start thinking about it.
As a member of the TMU alumni community, we are here to show you that you have a safety net.
As TMU alumni, you are part of a supportive network of people
who are committed to lifting each other up and helping each other grow.
Today,
tomorrow,
and always.
So just take a deep breath.
Enjoy this moment.
And remember, we're here to support you.
And we can't wait to see what you go on to accomplish.
Well, they should buy the picture frame. Buy the picture frame.
Please welcome Provost and Vice President Academic Roberta Yanachito Provenzano.
Thank you, Dean Holmes. Hello, everyone. It's my honor and privilege to address the graduating class of 2023 as your Provost and Vice President Academic. Today marks an incredibly exciting moment in your life. So congratulations. As we bring today's convocation ceremony to a close, I would like us to reflect on the sacrifices and successes that have led to this moment. Take a minute to consider the challenges that you have overcome. Endless study sessions and maybe some all-nighters dedicated to finishing that assignment or getting through some tough exams. Extracurricular activities to balance with a demanding academic schedule. And all of this on top of a global pandemic that pushed and challenged you in ways that you couldn't even imagine. And consider the incredible things that you gained along the way. Cherished memories, perhaps at varsity games or at campus events to reminisce about with the lifelong friends you've made. And hopefully, an appetite for learning to fuel your growth in the years ahead. During your time at TMU, you pushed the boundaries of innovation, flexed your entrepreneurial muscles, and championed diversity and inclusion. Without hesitation or apology, you challenged the status quo and made your mark on our community. I am only one of the many people here that are so proud of you today. I know some of my colleagues have already mentioned your family and friends, but I think the graduating class should give a round of applause to those folks up in the bleachers that cheered you on over the last few years. A real special thank you to all family members and friends of our graduates. Your support has been incredibly important to each and every one of them, and you have contributed to their success in many different ways. Finally, I want to reinforce one very important thing. By completing your journey here, you will always be a part of the TMU family, an ever-growing group of passionate people doing some remarkable things in every corner of the world. As you embark on your next phase, on your next journey, remember that there is no single path to success. You will define it on your own terms, and when you do, I hope that you remember to share your stories with us. I wish you a bright future filled with happiness and lifelong learning, and a beautiful rest of your day celebrating with your incredible family, friends, and other supporters. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank all the staff, volunteers, and the faculty here today who helped make this ceremony a wonderful experience for all. Graduates and guests, once again, congratulations from everyone at the university. I hope that you continue to enjoy this very special day. I now welcome Carrie Wiebe from the Office of the Dean in the Ted Rogers School of Management to sing the national anthem. After the anthem.
Convocation.